Good evening, everyone, and I'll call this special council meeting of March 23rd to order and ask if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, we'll move to the number 6.1, the report on electronic meetings of council during emergencies. Could I have a mover on the recommendation, please? Oh, just thank you. We do have Councillor Jana Guido here, right here, electronically, and so I'm watching for her, except I just missed her wave just then. But I have to watch for her if she has a question or a comment that she'd like to do. So I'm looking for a mover of the recommendations on this staff report. Councillor McDougall, Councillor Ross. Questions or comments? The report has to do with electronic meetings of council during emergencies. And there are no questions. So that the bylaw to amend procedure bylaw number 66-18 appended to this report will allow members of council and local boards to participate electronically in standing committee, board, and council meetings in cases where an emergency has been declared to exist in all or part of the township, and that such participation count towards quorum be approved. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Guido. And the bylaw, number 2120, is there, and this is being a bylaw to amend bylaw 66-18 to allow members of council to participate electronically at meetings during an emergency. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Watton, Councillor Brown. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? And that is carried. Councillor Guido has voted in favor. And that concludes the business. I need a confirming bylaw. Motion to confirm the proceedings of this meeting. Councillor Ross, Councillor Brown, all those in favor? And that's carried. Move adjournment, please. Councillor Guido. Seconder, Councillor Ross, all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. Good evening, and I'll call this council meeting of Monday, March 23rd to order, and ask us all to rise for a moment of silence. And perhaps we should be thinking about those people who are suffering, because they're self-isolated. And those are thoughts that we can think about right now. Thank you. Please be seated. Scugog is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history. Today, we acknowledge that we are gathering on the traditional territories of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation. We recognize and deeply appreciate the historic Indigenous connection to this land, and recognize the contributions First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples have made, both in shaping and strengthening this community in particular, our province and country as a whole. We're grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Matters from closed session. We met in closed session. We're a little late in starting because we had a lengthy closed session meeting. We approved the minutes of the previous closed session of March the 2nd. And we discussed personal matters about identifiable individuals, and that is the appointment of members for the Port Perry Business Improvement Area. And I beg your pardon? Yes, just trying to find the report here. I need a motion, please. That report number CONF 2020-003 entitled Business Improvement Area Board Appointments be received, and that Marina Brock and Glenn Evans be appointed as directors to the Business Improvement Area Board for the remainder of the 2018 to 2022 term. Councillor McDougall, Councillor Brown, all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And we also had a report from our CAO, an update of the situation that we're dealing with COVID-19. And I need a motion, please, that report CONF 2020-004 COVID-19 Council update be received, that the staff work responsibilities and modified work arrangements contained in this report be endorsed, and that in order to reduce the risk of the virus being brought into the workplace and respect the social distancing and the stay-at-home recommendation of public health officials, the CAO is directed to continue to progressively reduce the number of staff working at the municipal office with the goal of maintaining essential services. Motion, Councillor McDougall, Councillor Kiesebrink. Questions or comments? All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and nature thereof? Councillor McDougall?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 9.4.3 and 9.4.4, both of those are a former and current client.
Thank you. Any others? If it's carried. Announcements from council and staff. I do have something that I would like to read to start off, please. So I want to thank council and staff for coming out this evening in person as we work through how we can effectively conduct meetings electronically. I have Councillor Guido here on the laptop, on the tablet here, and you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone.
We have made adjustments so that we have adhered to the social distancing recommendations at our meeting tonight, and are live streaming so that our meeting is public while we urge people to watch online instead of attending tonight. I know that I speak for council when I once again thank our CAO and our senior management team for their leadership and diligence, and for all staff for their cooperation and for coming together as a team to get through this ever-changing time in order to get the business of the township moving. Regional CAOs, clerks, finance directors, and communications meet by teleconference and by brainstorming with their expertise, have come up with strategies and plans to move forward for our communities consistently throughout the region of Durham. A huge shout out to our frontline workers, our first responders, and our health workers. We are beyond grateful that you are there to meet the needs of our community. We are fortunate to have a medical system that is second to none. Keep well and keep safe. Another shout out to Operation Scugog and the wonderful volunteers. The shelves are emptying and the demand is ramping up. If you are able, please drop off monetary or food donations at the door on the east side of the Victory Christian Center on Wednesday afternoons, preferably, or drop into the church office. To the businesses of Scugog Township, thank you for being innovative in providing service and necessities such as home deliveries. Please continue to exercise extreme caution for the safety of yourselves and your customers. Today, Premier Ford announced that non-essential businesses will be ordered to close tomorrow, Tuesday, by the end of the day. We are awaiting the list of non-essential businesses from the province. To the residents of Scugog, as I take my daily walks, I take heart at the friendliness of those out enjoying the fresh air and exercise, and who, from a distance of at least 2 meters, offer a wave and a greeting. The resilience of the community is heartwarming. But there are some people who still don't get it. Self-isolation is required after returning from out of country, and that means you don't stop for groceries on the way home from the airport or the border. I walked by a house of a family that had just returned and there were 6 cars in the driveway. That is not safe or responsible. I've been told that the Lakeside Park was full and children playing on the equipment and folks gathering in the park. We don't have the resources to police the playgrounds that we have signed with safety warnings and tape. In addition, staff will be adding that caution tape around the structures as an added barrier. While getting fresh air and exercise along with rest and a balanced diet is good for you and will improve your health, you do have to keep your distance and avoid touching hard surfaces. All levels of government are working hard to combat COVID-19, and we all have to be diligent and do our part to knock the heck out of the curve so we can get back to normal living sooner. Thank you to all in the community who are doing the right thing. Together, we can beat this. Any other announcements? Councillor Watton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'm sure it's not unexpected, but I have been asked to regretfully announce that the Rotary Gala for this year is canceled. It's not postponed, but it will be canceled in its entirety. So I've been asked to pass that on. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Very sad, very sad. Any other announcements? Thank you. It's a very stressful time for everybody, all the organizations, all the businesses, all the people in the community. Very stressful time. Any announcements from staff? Seeing none, there are no presentations or delegations tonight. The consent agenda. I have 9.1.7, which is the library board minutes, and 9.1.13, the Scugog Accessibility Advisory Committee, March the 5th, and then your conflict of interest. Are there any others? Any other polls? 9.1.17. Okay. Yes, that's right. They have a recommendation there. Okay. You have one?
9.2.11.
9.2.11. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. I'm sorry, your name is there. Okay, that is on mid-size sport utility vehicle. On the others, may I have a motion to approve the recommendations on the others? Councillor Brown, Councillor Watton, seeing none other, all those in favor? And that's carried. We'll move to 9.1.7, which is on page 34. I'm sorry, Councillor Guido, did you have anything? No. Okay. page 34 in your agenda, and that is Councillor McDougall. Wish to make the motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that that report be received and that I move forward item number, hold on.
Can you hear Councillor Guido?
But,
Is your microphone on?
yeah,
Okay,
Janet, can
speak
you
up,
hear me
please.
now?
Can you hear him now? Okay.
I'd like to move that these minutes be received and that we take into consideration the recommendation made under 3.1 of these minutes.
The consent agenda be approved?
Oh, sorry. No, I'm sorry. I was looking at my SEAC minutes.
Okay, so you're just receiving the library board minutes?
Sorry, I was looking at SEAC, Madam Mayor.
Oh, okay. So, will you move the minutes then, please?
Yes, will do.
And seconder? Councillor Kiesebrink, all those in favor? And that's carried. So is it SEAC that you wanted told then?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
And what number is that one? Is that?
It's 9.1.17.
Yes, got that one. Okay. But first of all, let's go to 9.1.13, and that is Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll move the 9.1.13 and
you.
would like to make a comment just in regards to the work plan that's been identified in there.
Okay, just a moment, I'll get the page number there. That is page 59. Okay, go ahead. We have a mover. Seconder, please. Councillor Kiesebrink, and your question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. More in regards to a comment. Sorry, this is going to be found on the amendment. I know we have a lot of papers flying around here. This is going to be on the amendment agenda, which is
Okay.
found on a different page. So we're looking at page,
Oh, right.
pardon me, it's going to be page 2 of that, of those minutes. They're not identified otherwise. So it's in regards to 2 purchases under the work plan that were made. One was for identifying $75 for registration fee to a home and garden show, and the other one is a $300 expense for 2 accessibility flags. This meeting for the accessibility committee happened obviously before the current pandemic situation. I just wanted to point out that because we're not meeting as an accessibility board, and that this will be reviewed afterwards based on the financial considerations of the township and the direction that this will be going forth.
Okay, good news. Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this? Okay, all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. And now Councillor McDougall, 9.1.17, which is on page 87.
Page 87. Yes, I'll move those minutes. Can I-
Yes, and move the approval of the minutes. And I have a seconder, please. Councillor Watton, go ahead.
And I'd like to bring forward, under number 5, SEAC recommended to council that they consider items number 2, 3, 4, and 5 with regards to a environmental presentation that was given with regards to declaring a environmental crisis. Part 1 was the crisis part, which the group did not agree with, but I'd like that considered at a future date when we're no longer dealing with a pandemic.
Is that an overlap of our motion that we already have?
It's similar, but it actually is a little bit more robust and a little more particular to the municipality.
Okay, so refer that to staff then?
Yes, please.
Okay. Any questions or comments on that? All those in favor of the motion, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You get that, JP? Okay, thank you. Moving on to 9.3 and 4, the zoning bylaws for Willow Tree Farm and Port Perry Veterinary Services. Yes? 9.2.11. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't want to do this for you, do I, Counselor Ross? Sorry about that. Okay, that is on page, let me see, what, you know what page? 226, thank you, Counselor Ross. Now, would you like to make the motion?
Yes, I will make the motion.
Okay. And a seconder, please? Is the motion as stated?
It is at this point, I have a couple questions to ask. and
Okay,
Perhaps an
okay.
amendment is due.
Seconder? Counselor Watton, your
Thank you,
questions?
Madam Mayor. To Director Valentin, in regards to the purchasing of the, pardon me, the building department SUV vehicles that are going ahead, I know this is identified in the capital budget and it's not an operating budget issue. Two questions. First one, given the current circumstances where we are looking at financial constraints going ahead and unprecedented changes, the purchasing of this, will we be looking at the capital budget to be making savings also going ahead?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, we will be. We will be working with senior management to identify projects that have not started yet that have approval, the 2020 capital approved budget. But we will be looking at various projects to see whether they can be postponed or not.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, would this be one of those projects? I know it's showing up here now for our approval today, but will this be re-looked at, given that things have, since the agenda has come out to where we sit now and where we'll sit tomorrow, would this be one of those projects that would be looked at?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the funding source for this particular vehicle is limited to a building admin reserve. So it's not something, I can't utilize that, those funds for anything else except for things related to the building department.
And through you, Madam Mayor, will that continue going ahead? If will reserves from the building department, would they be able to be moved should we find ourselves in a situation where they need to be moved? Is that a possibility?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the funds cannot be moved.
Oh, can you speak up, please?
Sorry, the funds cannot be moved out of that reserve. If we have a few other avenues, a few other reserves that we would utilize if cash becomes an issue. If we look to borrow from reserves, it would have to go and get approval from the region on something like that. But there's minimal amount in this particular reserve for the building admin section.
Okay, thank you. And second question, further to that, the vehicle that was identified, I know I had some discussions with Director Coleman in regards to why that was chosen. Why are we purchasing a vehicle, and I don't know if you can answer this, why we're purchasing that vehicle in this time of year versus later on in the year when typically vehicles are less?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'm not aware of the timing. I believe it was just to help the building department move forward with their inspections and such. Currently, they're using their own personal vehicles, so that was why this particular project was brought forward. That although they are paid mileage, it doesn't compensate them for the wear and tear of their own vehicles, and the building staff have been putting significant mileage on their own vehicles to do township work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this report? All those in favor then? And that's carried. Thank you. Sorry about that, Councillor Ross. Okay, 9.4.3 and 9.4.4, which are Willow Tree Farm and Port Perry Veterinary Services. The zoning bylaw, Councillor McDougall has a conflict, so I need a motion, please. Councillor Watton? Councillor Brown? Questions or comments? All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Do you have anything, Councillor Guido? Nope. Okay, so moving on to so many changes here today. Okay. Correspondence, we have one piece of correspondence on page 247, and this has to do with waiving the waiting period for employment insurance as a result of COVID-19, and I believe that has already been resolved. Okay, so that was, okay, thank you. No, okay, confirming bylaw. Counselor Brown, Counselor Watton, all those in favor? And that's carried, thank you. Motion to adjourn. Counselor Guido, Counselor Ross, all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much, everyone. Meeting's adjourned.
Healthy, everyone.